Well, let me minimize. That's a little annoying, but we'll see what we have been doing. Okay, that's good now. All right, guys. I think we're recording. Okay. So again, I'll do it carefully. For some reason, I'm picking up some of the problems from an older issue. I'll still try to be extra careful. So guys, I have done one with sine, one with cosine. Let's do one with tangent. Tangent is a little tricky because your unit circle doesn't give you the tangent answer right away. You have to divide sine over cosine. So let me do 22. Okay, my 22 and my answer key 22 will be a little different, but I'll hunt for it. I'll find it. That's my job. Okay. So don't worry too much. Let me double check. Can somebody tell me if they can hear me? Are they being kicked out? Can somebody tell me?
I hear
Anybody?
you.
Thank you.
I can hear you.
Good. I appreciate that. Last time it kicked me out and was talking for 20 minutes. Okay, let's get back, guys. Okay. All right. I don't know why it's doing that, but we'll survive. All right, guys. So again, very patiently, guys, we know the answer for tan has to be just like sine here.
I don't know if anybody else can, but I can't see your screen.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Absolutely. Don't worry. Is that any better, guys?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Okay, again, be a little patient, guys. I'm going to do it very slowly on purpose. So this is my question. Our rule says I can write it like this, okay? I'm going to write it. Sometime you won't because you can do it in your head. Tan inverse 3 square root of 3 over 3 is equal to theta. I'm going to say it's theta and I'm looking for theta. All right. All I did was call this guy theta. You can call it y. Okay, no problem. All right. I know from what we have kind of studied or mathematicians have established that they want the theta for tan and sine in this range, which means the first and the fourth quadrant. Fine, I get that. And this is just another way of saying, this. All right. Now you're going to say, oh, it's a little bit of work because your unit circle doesn't show you the tan values right away. But remember, tan is simply, I'm going to write it here, tan theta is simply sine theta over cosine theta. That's all tan theta is. So you have to do some work. Now, there aren't a lot of examples, actually. There are only 3 cases, right? It has to be here or here, or here or here. Okay, so you're going to divide sine over cosine and try to make sure you get something that's exactly this. Okay, the square root of 3 on top, regular 3 in the bottom, and it's positive. And it's not as bad as you think. I'll tell you why right now. So this one, sine and cosine are the same. It's going to be 1. So don't worry about this one. Don't waste your time. This one is sine and cosine are the same, except for the sine is different. This is going to be -1. Don't worry about it. So you want something positive. Maybe it's sine over cosine, this one. I'm going to test this one. Okay, it's all plus, or this one. It has to be one of the two. Again, tangent is sine over cosine. Eventually, you will kind of memorize it. You will say, I know what square root of 3 over 3 tangent is, but I'm going to show you today. So sine over cosine. So I'm going to take this. I'm working on this one, okay? This one, the first one. I'm going to say, okay, sine theta is half. And cosine theta is square root of 3 over 2. All right. Now, I think things are looking good. I'll tell you what I mean, guys. I'll tell you what I mean. I can't remember, guys, when you flip and multiply, I'll show you again as we are doing it in detail today. When you divide a fraction by another fraction, you take the top fraction, all right? Then you multiply it by flipping the second fraction. That's how you do it. That's how you were taught. And in this situation, 2 and 2 will cancel, and you're going to be left with, it's a little bit of work. And when you're taking the exam, you're not going to do it on the computer screen. So it's not going to be that bad. You're going to do it on a piece of paper. Now, I see it, 1 over square root of 3. Now, 1 over square root of 3 is not this, but it really is if you rationalize the denominator. And I am going to rationalize the denominator. If you see it right away, you're like, that's it. So you're good. And if you would excuse me, I am going to rationalize the denominator by multiplying the top and bottom by square root of 3. How do I do that? Top square root of 3 and the bottom square root of 3 and square root of 3 is going to be 3. So I know for sure it is, I don't need to test this. Okay. It's going to be that thing kind of a little flipped and all that. It's going to be square root of 3 over 2. Square root of 3. It's going to be just square root of 3. Fine. So this, I'm going to highlight this just so that you know what we're getting in. Let me highlight it nicely. Excuse me. I'm going to highlight this. This is the point. And if this is the point, the angle has to be either pi over 6 or theta. So I'm going to write it down. It has to be pi over 6 or theta. I'm going to write it here, then I'm going to put it down so that you will be able to see pi over 6 or 30 degrees. Now I will check my answer and be a little patient, guys. I'm checking it against an older edition. So this is my question. I'm sure every edition has a version of this is my question. Tan inverse theta is square root of 3 over 3. And I'm pretty confident I got it right, but we're going to test it. Right here. What did we get? Pi over 6. That's what we got. So we're good. So, well, let me see. Well, it's 22. I'm doing 22. It's really the new edition's 18. You don't care, but we got it. Let's pause here a little bit, guys. Let's pause there a little bit. I'm going to do a couple more, but I won't wrap up the whole section. There is a section, guys, in this section, there is a chunk of problems that are a little difficult. I'll tell you why. Okay. And I don't want to do it today. Here's the deal, guys. After the end of our session today, you should be able to do many of the problems from 3.1, and you want to do them, and we're going to wrap up this section next class, but I'll do a couple more. There's a lot going on, and when somebody does it, eventually some of you will be doing it in your head, but since it's our day one, I'm going to show you from scratch. Any questions before I erase it? All right, guys, let's try another one. Let's see what's going on. Now, we did tan. Let's try this one. Tan ones are difficult, right? And again, guys, if you run into a problem that you think is hard, send me your link. All right, tan, and the answer should be here for tan and sine, or here. All right. So again, I'm going to do the basics. Eventually, you don't have to if you can't see it, but I don't mind actually. You're going to say is theta. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it y, and that by default simply is another fancy way of saying is square root of 3. All right, fine. Now you're asking for what value of theta in the, you can say it's in the first and the fourth quadrant. You can say it's the right half of the unit circle. How do you know it's right half? Well, that's arbitrary. That has been decided because on the left half, you're going to get the same answers. We just want something simple enough in the near the first quadrant. That's the idea. So, okay, where do we get square root of 3? Well, remember, guys, sine is tangent theta is sine over cosine. And I'm going to divide sine over cosine. Where do I divide? It kind of has to, okay, this one will give you 1. Okay, I'm going to try this one, guys. Okay, either this or this. And we kind of saw the one in the bottom. That gave me something else. So I'm going to try this one. Okay, remember, guys, sine over cosine. And in this problem, sine is square root of 3 over 2. And cosine is half. Now, you can do your flip and multiply. It turns out to be the same. You can cancel the bottoms. If the tops were the same, you could cancel the tops. So if you have a fraction over fraction, the bottoms can be canceled, tops with tops, bottoms with bottoms. But let's do flip and multiply. Okay, let's do flip and multiply. So I'm going to say this is 3 over 2 over 1. All right, I can cancel 2 and 2, and I get square root of 3 over 1, which is square root of 3. Now, I'll actually do one more before we call it a day. And you might say I'm doing too many from the same section. You really want to get it. I know I'm repeating kind of myself in a way, but it's really not that bad. A couple of things, guys. You cannot divide by 0. Okay. Sometime if you run into a case where you have to divide by 0, well, you just say it's undefined. I'm going to pause it just for a little bit. Okay. See if you have any questions.
So we wouldn't have to find the degrees in that.
Oh, guys, yes, of course. Sorry. I'm like getting a little ahead of myself. Of course. So the degree answer should be in degree. Thank you. It has to be 60 degrees or pi over 3. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So you have to say finally, you have to say, I'm going to write it here and I'm going to bring it down. You have to say your theta. You can write 60 degrees, but it seems like the book wants you to write the answer in radian or pi. And we'll see if we can find a question that wants you to find this. I'm pretty confident I didn't mess up. Let's check. Pi square root of 3, tan inverse square root of 3. Ooh, I thought there was one like that. Yes, you always have to find the angle right here, pi over 3. So we're good. Good. Thank you for catching that. What else, guys? What other questions do we have? I'll do one more where it'll involve tan. Okay. So let's do tan inverse 0. Okay. That's not a bad one. Tan inverse 0. It's not as simple as sine 0, cosine 0. Why? Sine 0, cosine 0 can be determined from the unit circle. Tan 0 cannot be. I do know one thing. Because we're talking about tan, we are in the first or the fourth quadrant. So I'm going to say tan inverse 0 is equal to theta. And that means tan theta is 0. By definition, that's what it means. That's how we write it. Tan theta. All right. Where is tan theta 0, guys? Well, let's find out. It has to be, remember, guys, tan theta is sine over cosine. It has to be this point and not this point. Okay, for this point, sine over cosine, if you will allow me, I'll just write it like this. That's undefined. That's not 0. So that's a no-go. But this one, sine of 0 is 0 over 1, which is 0. And like you have noticed, you want to know the angle, you want to find angle theta, which is angle theta is 0. Theta is 0. So this is where sometimes people mess up. They're in a rush. They just say, oh, this is 0 and 1. 0 divided by 1 is 0. So I'm good. No, that's not 0 divided by 1. That's 1 divided by 0. And if you write 90 degrees, you would be incorrect. So this is tan theta is equal to 0. I don't even have to check it. I'm pretty confident, guys. Because theta is in the right range, and I know tan theta is 0. If you really want me to check, let me see if there is one here. Right here, 0. Okay. All right. So guys, I don't have, okay, some of these problems you're going to see are going to, I don't think they're really that difficult, but you really want to get what we did today. So try the simple problems today. Okay. You should be able to, and you can try it as many times as you want. And then once you become a little confident, well, we'll do these next class. I don't do it the same way because it's a new idea. It's a little challenging to begin with. So I'll save it for another, well, next class. I'll kind of stop here, but if you have any questions, I'm not going anywhere. See if you have any questions about anything. It's not a bad time to do that. Or any questions about this stuff.
So tan is in the first and fourth quadrant. What quadrants are the cosine and sine?
Sure. Sine, and let's write it down. Sine and so far, we will write all of them. Sine, tan are going to be, we write it like this. You can say first in the first quadrant. You can say the right half. Okay. And so far, cosine is the only one that's here. You can say first and the second quadrant, you can say the upper half, your choice. Okay, let's hide this. Okay. The way I keep it straight, cosine and cot will go, and you're going to see it in the next section. If sine goes with tan, cot goes with cosine, and wherever sine goes, sine's reciprocal is cosecant. Cosecant will go here. Let's write it down right now. And you're going to see it in the next section, which we won't get to next class. And cosecant, sorry, cosine's buddy is secant. Secant is going to go here. It's actually very similar. The 3.2 is very similar to 3.1. So we're kind of scratching the surface of 3.2. But your question was hopefully answered.
Thank you.
Sure. What else, guys? Again, no rush. Let's get out of this session. I will return. We have about good 40 minutes. Okay, I'll return. I will upload these videos. I'll be around. Feel free to come back. I can look at your exam. I can do a problem for you. I can do problems from this book. We don't care. Okay, it's our time. So I'll jump out of this session. If you have any questions, please do come back.